In a quiet coastal town where the cliffs met the sea, there lived a man named Elias. He was a sculptor, known for carving magnificent figures out of driftwood and stone. His home was filled with statues, birds mid-flight, waves frozen in time, dancers caught in silent motion. The townspeople admired his work, but Elias was not a happy man. Years ago, Elias had been one of the most celebrated artists in the country. Galleries fought to display his pieces, collectors offered fortunes, and critics sang his praises. But something had shifted. A single, scathing review had described his work as repetitive and lacking soul. Elias, already haunted by his own self-doubt, took the words to heart. He stopped sending his work to galleries. He turned down commissions. He withdrew from the world, choosing instead to live by the sea and create only for himself. Every morning, Elias walked the beach. He would collect bits of driftwood and broken shells, pieces others discarded, and carry them home in a large canvas bag. He sculpted from these forgotten fragments, never sharing the results with anyone. One day, as Elias sat on a rock carving a seagull out of a jagged piece of wood, a boy approached him. The boy was around 10 years old, with tangled hair and a curious stare. He watched Elias work in silence before asking, "Why do you make all these statues if no one sees them?" Elias didn't look up. "Because I have to," he said simply. "But don't you want people to know what you can do?" Elias paused, his chisel held in place. "I used to. But people don't always understand. And when they don't, it hurts." The boy nodded slowly. "My sister paints. She says when people don't get her art, it makes her want to hide it. But I told her that doesn't make sense. If something matters to you, you should show it. Otherwise it's like it was never made at all." Elias smiled faintly, surprised by the boy's clarity. "What's your name?" "Jonas," he said. "My mom says I talk too much. But I think sometimes people need to hear things they forgot." After that day, Jonas visited Elias every morning. He never stayed long, just enough to ask what Elias was working on and why. Some days he brought shells he'd found. Once he brought Elias a lump of clay, saying, "Try something new." Elias did. He started shaping faces from the clay, rough and imperfect but full of expression. It was different from his usual style, and it made his hands ache in a new way. But he kept doing it. Jonas continued showing up, always curious, always encouraging. One afternoon, Jonas came with a group of children from the town. They had been talking about Elias and wanted to see what he made. Elias hesitated, heart pounding, but opened the door to his home. The children wandered through the rooms, gasping and pointing, whispering about how magical it all looked. That night, Elias sat by his window, watching the tide roll in. For the first time in years, he felt a lightness in his chest. Not pride, exactly, but peace. He realized that his fear had kept him from the very thing he loved most, sharing his vision with the world. A month later, Elias held a small exhibit in the town square. He didn't send invitations, didn't advertise. But word spread, and people came. Children ran between sculptures, adults stood quietly, studying each piece. One woman touched a wooden swan with tears in her eyes. Elias stood in the corner, unsure of what to say, until Jonas came and nudged him forward. "You're not hiding anymore," Jonas whispered. Elias nodded. "Thanks to you." From that day on, Elias continued to sculpt, but now he left his work in the open, placing statues along the beach, by the docks, and in the town square. His art no longer needed approval. It only needed to be seen. The lesson is this: do not let fear of judgment silence your voice. What you create, what you love, deserves to be shared. Even if only one person understands, that is enough to make it matter.